Hey guys. Oh, yes. Okay. Perfect. Hope everybody is doing amazing today. Again, I know it's been a while. I don't do lives very often, but I just feel like I need to share a couple things. I have been, one of my coaches told me that I need to start writing things down in a journal every morning. And I just realized as I'm writing down how grateful I am for everything, for life, that just how different life is. 7 years ago, I'm sorry, and I'm going to stand in the sun because it's a little chilly here. It's not as bad, but I just want you to see the view from my condo right now. Pretty amazing here in Sun Valley, Idaho. I've never been here before, but it is truly beautiful. But anyway, 7 years ago, I showed up to a Tony Robbins event. And that's what I'm here for now. That event was actually in Whistler, Canada. And things are very, very different in my life comparable to what it was like 7 years ago. So I want to walk through because I think people just need to understand where you started from in order to see that they can get, further in life. So 7 years ago, I showed up to my first Platinum Partnership event. So Platinum Partnership with Tony Robbins, if you do not know, is $85,000 a year. And no, I didn't have the money to do it. No, I didn't have the money to sign up. I actually, little step back, June 30th of 2017, I showed up to a $50 event that I paid for that I really couldn't afford to be at, and I couldn't afford the hotel room. So I drove 2.5 hours to Atlanta. It was a 2-day event. So I drove there and I drove back. Till 7 o'clock every night. And Tony Robbins said some things that literally shifted my entire life. And I was in a really bad place. I had zero income at the time. Some stuff happened to one of my sons and I shut down. After about six weeks, didn't really care. I was depressed. I was not going to work anymore. I was not doing accounting. I stopped doing network marketing. And I'm like, you know what? My husband can go get a job and I'm going to just stay home with the kids. Meanwhile, we were about to lose everything that we owned. But in my brain, I didn't care. And so I went to this event. I learned 4 different things. I think I talked about those on the last live. And it was just a couple. I'll share them with you. Self-sabotage. I was self-sabotaging myself. I had massive limiting beliefs. I was I was undervaluing myself, and I realized that I could choose as far as I could choose whether to be happy, sad, miserable, whatever. So at that point, I decided I was going to choose to be happy. I was going to choose that something better. And luckily for me, a couple days before this event, somebody begged me to go to something called the board, and it was a group of business owners who got together once a month. It was like 8 or 10 business owners, and they just helped each other with problems. So it was like you had your own board, but you didn't pay for it. You paid a couple $100 a month to be a part of this group, and they got together for lunch, and it was like, here's all the issues that we have. And because I answered so many questions at that event and told somebody, because I knew I needed income, but I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready to get back and start working again. But I knew I had to provide for my family, and I knew I had to get my crap together. And so somebody came up and said, hey, I'm looking for a fractional CFO. And at the time, I didn't even know what a fractional CFO was. Obviously I knew what a CFO was. I didn't even think about the fact that, I've ran some companies in the dirt. I've made money with companies. And, when she was talking about all the things that she needed, I'm like, man, I could be a fractional CFO. And I think that'd be more fun than taxes. So I literally, when it came time to introduce myself, I said, I'm a fractional CFO. And so I answered all these questions because obviously I've lost everything I own twice. So my experience helped. I've filed bankruptcy, couldn't afford to file bankruptcy. I had to voluntarily withdraw my bankruptcy. Did you know that there are people in this country that cannot afford to file bankruptcy? I was one of those people about 14 years ago. And then, I've been through several divorces. I've been through a lot of things. I've been through some massive custody battles. And I've lost one. to a child, which that happened 7 years ago at this time, at this event at Tony Robbins, which I'll talk a little bit about. But, you know, my experiences in life on running companies, growing them, made me a good CFO. And so I answered a whole bunch of questions for these people, helped them out, and three of them asked me to meet with them that week to discuss being their CFO. I didn't even know I was going to charge. Like, I had not even been a CFO. I didn't, no clue, but I'm like, I have to figure this out. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to this Tony Robbins event. I'll meet with you three on Friday. So I went to the Tony Robbins event. I realized all the things, right, in a matter of 4 hours listening to Tony, which is when I get tax troubles up to a place where I want it to be, get about 1,000 members, I'm going to pay Tony $1 million to do his 4-hour training that he did the day that I met him. Because I think it's life-changing, and I think it would be massively life-changing for the people in our group. But, however, went to that event, came out of that event on fire, right? $50. I have nothing. You know, I'm about to be homeless. And 6 kids. Husband is working, driving 2 hours a day to my client to work and make $200 a day, right? So we're making $1,000 a week. It's $2,500 a month to live in the house that we're living in, and we got to pay for food. So I go to that event. I come back. I'm meeting with these people on Friday. So Thursday night, I spend putting together an offer. Like, there wasn't a chat GPT. I couldn't say, hey, make me an offer that I should provide for these people for being a CFO. I just had to do some research. And I was like, what does a CFO do? So I put together all these things, and I was like, here's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to charge $2,500 a month. Because, see, at the end of the day, I didn't care. I did not care whether they said yes or no. Honestly, part of me in my brain was like, I don't even want to do this work. I'm not in a place where I need to be. So if they say yes, that's great. If they say no, that's great. So $2,500, all three of them said yes the next day. So that's how I went from zero income, literally zero income, to $7,500 a month. Then I just started. Like, I started working and helping them, right? I took their business and I made it my own. And I committed, and I took time out. I had to hire an attorney, and I needed $7,500 to do it because of what happened to my son. I had to have $7,500 and to hire the best attorney that I needed. And I hired that attorney, and I ended up getting custody, and not custody. My husband had already had custody of 2 of our sons, and I ended up being able to adopt my 2 sons, my husband's 2 sons. And they've been my children now for 15 years. They are my kids. But I was able to release the rights to their mom that was gone, and I was able to adopt them back in 2018. So anyway, that money I used to pay an attorney. From there, I had to work, right? So I'm like, you know, I can make this thing happen, but I'm helping these people. I'm helping these business owners never get to a place where I was in my life. And that grew and grew and grew. And then I had 12 of those clients that I, you know, adored and was helping them and growing. And someone picked up the phone and called me in January. His name is Neil Tricarico. He is a dear friend of mine still to this day. He's one of my clients. He worked for Tony Robbins. I applied for Business Mastery. I didn't know how much Business Mastery was, but I'm like, man, if I went to this $50 event and Tony spent 4 hours with me, what would it be like if I spent 6 days with him? So, ended up, Neil got on the phone, and he's like, it's $10,000 to go to this event. And although I was making some more money, I was making about $150,000 a year at that point. The year before, I made $35,000. Okay, so that by the end of that year, okay, just from July 1st to the end of that year, I made $150,000. January through June, and for those of you that don't know, you know, I mean, accountants typically make all their money January through April 15th. I made $35,000. So there's comparable. Made $150,000. But I was paying for attorneys, for divorce attorneys. I had gotten involved in some massive mold exposure in the house that we were living in. I had to end up moving out of the house by October 17th of 2017. And, you know, the landlord sued me when I told him that there was mold in the house and please remediate it, and tried to evict us and all the things. So I was spending all my money on going to court. That was it. Attorney's fees, $5,000 a month for one attorney. I had another attorney that was about $2,000 a month. So I did not make any money. And I'm trying to provide for my kids, right? Meanwhile, you know, we live in a hotel, got to pay back. You know, we finally move into a house, got to buy all of our furniture back again, everything that we ever owned back again, because the landlord sold it while we were waiting on him to remediate it. And so, you know, all of these things are going on. And then January, when I literally found out that our stuff was being, you know, had been sold, I talked to this Neil, and he's like, it's 10 grand. And I was like, I'd love to go, but there's no way. I cannot afford it. And so he ended up doing a payment plan with me. I think it was like maybe an 8-month payment plan, something like that. I had to pay like $1,500 a month. You map that out. I don't know what that looks like, but the event was in August, right? So I'm paying $1,500 a month to get to this event. And I'm like, yep, I'm going to get there and it's going to change my life. But I thought in my brain, like, I will never be able to go to another event like this. Like, when I get to this event, like, this is it for me. Like, I'm going to put in the money and I'm going to go to this event, but it was so hard. And by the time we got to the event, we were making $35,000 a month. Okay. So we made about $350,000 in 2018. And I'm throwing out these numbers because I need you to understand how quickly you really can do this if you put forth the effort. You know, so I go to this event, and the first day when I walk in the door to the event, I look at the lanyards, right? Because they give you a lanyard. And if those of you did not know me, I love shiny things, right? That, you know, I've got a diamond. I'd never let my husband buy me a diamond, like an actual real one, until last year when I got pregnant with Amelia. And, you know, I got a really big diamond. I wanted the biggest diamond that they had. And then, you know, bought me this necklace. So, you know, I'm not... Typically, gifts are not my thing, but I love shiny things, right? You see my neck now. You see my fingernails. Well, I get there and there's these shiny lanyards, and they say platinum on them. And I ask, I'm like, hey, I'd like to have the shiny lanyard, and they're like, well, those are $85,000 a year. And I'm like, $85,000 for a lanyard? Like, I don't even comprehend what you're saying right now. And they're like, no, it's a whole thing. It's called Platinum Partnership. And, you know, I'm like, man, like that, like, I can't imagine. It's like all the events, you get to go to events, you get to hang out with Tony, you get to go to actual vacations with Tony, and there's extra events every single year, and it's just life-changing. And so, you know, I'm like, man, I wish I could afford that, but I'm still on my payment plan. And so, and I'm still, you know, paying attorneys, and you know, every dime we got is just being paid to go out. And I have one employee at the time, you know, and I'm the one who's building this thing, and, you know, I'm gone for a week. Like, there's no way possible. I can't spend a week away from my business ever. Like, I can't even fathom that. And I can't fathom $85,000 a year when that's literally almost what I made last year. Right? So I put it to the back burner. I go to the event. I sit there and I listen. And then I understand, as Tony's talking, the power of proximity, the power of getting around the right people, the power of getting in the right rooms to get the right mindset. Because you're never going to get it in the rooms that you're currently in, for most of you. Because people don't think at a high level. People don't think that they could be a multimillionaire, therefore they're not. People don't think, or they don't want to put forth the effort that it takes in order to become a multimillionaire or an 8-figure earner. Most people do not. And they don't see, like, that if you just put forth a little bit of effort, a little more effort than most people are, for a handful of years, that you can completely and utterly shift the entire trajectory of your family tree. You can build a legacy unlike anything else. And so for me, I've always kind of had that vision. Like, I remember growing up telling my mom, like, I'm going to retire by the time I'm 40 years old. And she's like, you hope. And I'm like, nope, I know. Everything that I ever said, it was never about, I hope I'm going to do it. It was, I know that I'm going to do it. I know that I know that I know. And that's the first step to moving forward, right? That's the first step. Like, literally, you're halfway there when you, in your brain, you're like telling the universe, you're telling the Father, like, I know that I'm supposed to have this, right? I know that I'm supposed to be here. I know that I deserve better. So, 2 days in, they talk about Platinum Partnership. I go to the Platinum Partnership desk. And it wasn't just about the shiny lanyard, right? It was about the ability that we were hanging, that these people got to be in the front row, right? They got to be alongside Tony. They got to learn at a different level. And there was a dinner with Tony if you signed up to be a Platinum Partner. So, I'm very much good at improvising, and I went to the Platinum desk and I was like, hey, like, do you have to pay all of it up front? And they're like, well, no, like, you could literally, it's $15,000 down and it's $6,000 a month whenever you activate the partnership. So I'm like, oh man, like, there's no way I could come up with that. But then I started thinking, like, my brain, like, if I just understood the stuff that I've learned in the last 2 days, I could literally take that information and help my clients, right? I got 12 clients. So what I did is I picked up the phone and I started calling my clients. And they're just CFO clients at the time. I'm not doing tax returns for a whole bunch of people. I have 12 clients. That's it, 12 in 2018. And so I go to these clients and I'm like, look, I'm learning so much here. We're going to grow your business. I'm going to bring you and teach you all the information. I just need you to front me 2 months worth of income. Like, if you could possibly do that, I could get the money to sign up to be a Platinum Partner, and then I'm going to teach you everything that I know. And the other piece was, it wasn't even about me. I sat there and realized that if I could put Sam Castor, the founder of Man of Relief, which provides advanced immune support to medically fragile children, which is what I fund for every dollar that comes in my accounting practice, I provide that serving of advanced immune support. I think we're at 80,000 servings at that point. 80,000. We're at 17 million, I think, now. That's crazy. Just to think about that. Okay, so back to that story. I knew I had to put him and Tony together. If I could put him and Tony together, Tony was focused on, like, providing for hungry, right? Because he, Thanksgiving, he didn't have any food. Somebody brought him some food. Then that led him to start the whole process of providing for 1 billion meals. Like, that's his focus. And I was like, if I could put those two together, like, we could literally change the world. Like, we could shift childhood disease and sickness could be wiped out. I got to sign up. Like, I have to sign up. This is not about me. I have to sign up. I have to connect those people. So I had my clients start paying me every day. And I would go to Miss Patty Lazama, who's one of my clients. I love her. Hopefully she's here. And I'll see her because I'm at a Tony Robbins event now. But Miss Patty Lazama, I went up to her every day and I was like, I only have a $2,500 credit limit. So if you can run $2,500 on my debit card, because I didn't have a credit card, right? Now I have 2 Amex Unlimited cards. When you don't need the money, they give you the money. But at the time, didn't have any credit cards. So I gave her my debit card. She would process $2,500 a day. I couldn't buy anything else, right? That was it. And so I got to a point I was able to pay $12,500 and they let me activate. But I couldn't start it until February. Like, I didn't have the money to do it. So I'm like, you know what? We'll start in February. But I left that event knowing that I had to figure out a way to create more income. So I sat down and I mapped out this thing called, Tony teaches it. It's called a 10-10-10 plan, 20-20-20 plan, and a 100-100-100 plan. And he said in order to get people, and this is a teaching moment, I think it's very helpful for you as a business owner, that in order to get to a next level in your business, like you have to get your team on board. Well, I didn't have a team, right? Actually, my employee was still in time while I was going to the Tony event, so I fired her when I got back. Because one of the things Tony said is not about the people you hire, it's about the people you don't fire. Some of you need to hear that. So I came home and my team were my children and my husband. And you essentially get them on board with the fact that you could grow 10% of your team, right? Your clientele. And if you could do that, and then you create more value to increase the price by 10%, which I could definitely do that. And then you create an extra 10% and increase the amount of times that they buy from you. So obviously I have clients that pay, yearly for us just to do their tax returns, right? We have clients that we do payroll for. We don't make a lot of money off of payroll. It just makes life a whole lot easier if we're doing it all in-house. But then we have bookkeeping clients, right? So I could take a client who was just one time a year and then they could become a bookkeeping client as well. So that could increase the frequency. And if you could do that 10% more clients. And at the time I had 12, right? I just needed 1.2, right? Nothing. I could increase their value by increase their price alongside that by 10%. That was super easy. I could increase the 10% for the the frequency, right? I could do something else and add something to it. So got on board with that. Then came the 2020. So I mapped it out. I wrote it on this whiteboard that I still have to this day from August of 2018. And I wrote out the 10-10-10 plan. I got the kids on board with it. They're like, I think we can do that. Because I was going to have to put forth the time. There was nobody else helping me at this point in time, but I needed the kids on board. I needed them to make sure the house was clean. I needed them to make sure that they did their schoolwork. I needed my husband to make sure that all the other things in the house were done. So for those of you that are like, hey, how in the world, Courtney, are you doing it with 7 kids? I've got an amazing husband that's a stay-at-home dad, and we committed in that conversation that the only thing that I would focus on doing, the only thing, not cleaning the house, not cooking supper, I plan vacations, but I work. That's it. I work. And they do all the other things. So we agreed to that. So then I got them on board with a 20-20-20 plan. It's like, hey, could we increase 20%? Like, that's only 2.4 clients. Like, that's 3. That's nothing, right? Could we increase the value by 20% in order to increase the price? Could we increase the frequency by 20%? Sure, right? And then it came time for 100%. Could we go from 12? Because, I only had 12 clients that I've gotten over the last year, right? June 30th of 2017. And then I was sick for 6 months during that process. I was, due to mold poisoning and then mercury poisoning. So I'm like, man, do you think we could get 24 clients? And they're like, sure, I think we can. Can we increase their price? Can we double the price? Maybe we can't double the price, but we could get even more clients, or we could create more value to increase the price. So we map that out. And but the thing is what happens when you take an increase in 10% on 3 different things, it doesn't increase by 10%. It increases by 33%. The 20-20-20 plan increases 66%, I think. And then the 100-100-100 plan is 330%. Guys, we took that one concept that I learned from that business mastery. The next year, we went from 350,000 to 850,000. We far exceeded the 100-100-100 plan. Now, fast forward, obviously that took a whole year in 2019, but in 2018, I left that event, and at that event, I said, I got to figure this out. So we mapped out that, and then I started charging for tax strategy sessions, because I'm like, people have to value my time. They have to understand, and see, that was my increase, an extra time. People pay me one more time. But they have to value what I'm doing, and I'm teaching tax strategy. I'm literally giving them information to help them grow their business, and I was doing that for free. So I'm like, I'm not doing that for free anymore. I'm going to have them value my time, and I'm going to charge $99. And I wrote a book 3 weeks later. I sat down and forced myself. I was like, I've got to be an expert. Either I have to go get my EA, which I did not want to do at the time, which is an enrolled agent, which is what I have now. Did that in 2020. Or I can write a book. Either one will make me an expert. I agreed to that. So what that did is that everywhere I went, I told everybody I'm a platinum partner. I'm a platinum partner. I'm a platinum partner, right? I am going to work alongside Tony, blah, blah, blah. And that created such a frenzy that people are like, man, like Courtney has money. Like Courtney is doing big things, right? And so that was August of 2018. So by the time January hits, I get asked to speak at my first network marketing company. I then get asked to speak for Les Brown. I then get asked to speak for Tony, right? I go to Tony's event, and I start speaking for him. I spoke for Eric Worre that year. But the big platinum event when I engaged my platinum partnership was February of 2019. And February of 2019 was a really tough time for me. One, I started speaking, and I had this whole, I think it was a 10-day stint that I was supposed to be gone. I missed my birthday. I was speaking for Lauren LaHave for Juice Plus, and came back home, was home for about 2 weeks, and then I was leaving to go to this event. But I wasn't just going to this event in Whistler, Canada for the Platinum Finance event, which is once a year. I was also going to speak the night before in Vancouver, Canada. So it was the first ever international speaking engagement that I had. And lo and behold, and I'll just tell you kind of what happened. I was at an event, and while I was at this event, my daughter calls me, Adrienne. She was 15, almost 16 at the time. And she says, Mama, they're not going to let me play softball. See, I took my kids out of public school 11 and a half years ago. Best decision of my entire life. I lost my whole family for it because, obviously that was a little early and people didn't comprehend it. And all my family worked for public school and the state, and they thought I was crazy and I was losing it. And they told everybody so. Now, look at a little bit different now, but that's a whole nother idea and a whole nother conversation. But Adrienne called me, and they begged me for a year to go back to public school. See, I took them out and I put them through K-12. They didn't have the relationships and stuff that they wanted. So, and I didn't know about co-ops at the time. Thankfully, I got them into a co-op, and they love that now. Lily's the only one there right now, but all of them graduated through the co-op, other than Adrienne. So Adrienne, they all begged to go to public school. I let them go back for a year. Worst decision of my life. Still to this day, worst decision of my life. And Adrienne started hanging around some kids that I did not like, and obviously not going to go there. But she was two different people at the time. And she was one person to us. She was one person to these people. And so she went to softball one day while I was out at an event. And she calls me and she says, they're not going to let me play softball. And I'm demanding that you put me back in public school, because they said the only way I can play is to go back to public school. And I'm like, I'm not putting you back in public school. It's not happening. I'll figure this out as soon as I get back. Let me figure this out. Let me come home and I'll figure it out. Well, lo and behold, to me, she'd sent a message to her stepsister. And it was pretty much to the fact that, you have to tell Dad. He has to come get me. I cannot, I can't live here anymore under these rules, blah, blah, blah. And it was just for her to go play softball. And guys, got home that Sunday, called Monday, literally called the athletic director for the state. I called the athletic director for the county. I called the athletic director for the school. I called the coach. Went through all these people, and at the end of the day, we came to the fact that they had screwed up, and they told her she couldn't play because they didn't think she'd been out of public school for a year. Meanwhile, she'd already been out for 3.5 years, and that counted. So in the state of South Carolina, if your kid comes out of public school, one of the things they force you to do is you have to wait a year for them to go back to sports. So, got it fixed. Got it resolved. Everything was perfect, I thought. 2 weeks later comes by. I'm getting ready to go to this event. I have a client in La Jolla, California, so I've got to go meet them first. Then I'm going to Vancouver, just kind of map it out, make it easy. Go to Vancouver, speak. And then I go to this Tony Robbins event, and I'm going to be gone for about 10 days. And my other daughter, my oldest daughter, had a boyfriend. And that boyfriend had something special lined up for Valentine's Day. Long story short, my daughter lost her Adrian lost her cell phone because of it. And I'm not, listen, my child was 15 years old at the time. I'm just telling you this story. I need you to understand, because this is how stuff works, okay? And I want you to understand how I've grown from it. But anyway, find out, we take her phone because she tells it irrelevant, was going to give her right back to her. But then I find out all of these phone calls, text messages start coming in from these guys that I didn't want my daughter to have anything to do with. Naturally, you don't want your child to be communicating with guys at 15 years old. So that leads to me getting very upset. And this is where the emotional IQ comes in. I, as a mom, didn't think anything of the fact that I told my daughter, you can't have your phone back, ever. Done. You can't have social media back. Done. Over. And you may not play softball. I'm done. And I want you to understand, children have become so addicted. This is one of the things that I have learned. Like, an addiction is created by sheer significance, right? When you have something that gives you significance, when you have something that gives you connection. And that, there's an addiction there. And, we're addicted to social media. Our kids are addicted to social media. And so when you take away everything that a child thinks that is important to them in life, they rebel. That's where I messed up. I wasn't thinking clearly. I wasn't thinking through it, right? I was busy. I was in a hurry. I was trying to provide for my family. I didn't want this to happen. So I'm like, this is shut down. And so the next 2 days later, my daughter goes to her dad's, and she figures out a way that she does not have to live with me anymore. And now, granted, I'm only telling you the story. She's done the same thing. She stopped speaking to everybody. And now, lately, she's actually stopped speaking to her dad. So, this is a pattern. But, she goes there. She decides she's not going to live with me anymore. She goes to a hospital. Tells them that, she wants to kill herself by being with me. And I am getting on the plane the next day to go to La Jolla, California, to meet one of my largest client at the time was $5,000 a month, which I got, by the way, from Business Mastery. So I got that, and I justified the Platinum Partnership because I got that one client. So I get to the airport, tore all to pieces. Like, I drive down to Myrtle Beach. When I get to Myrtle Beach, I am totally against mental institutions. I am totally against medication. I am especially against any medication that alters your mind. So I get there, and my ex-husband has talked immortal crap about who I am as a human being, and tells everybody that I'm like Satan, I guess. And I get there, and they barely let me speak to my child, who, by the way, I raised at that time for 13 years and 10 months by myself. My husband left me with my children when they were 3, 2, and 4 weeks old. It was very, very abusive. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't need to go into detail on that. I don't talk about that much anymore. But I get there, and they give me 5 minutes with my child. And I sit down with her, and I have a conversation with her, and I tell her I love her, and I'm like, I don't understand, like we've never even had an argument. Like, what is happening right now? And I tell her how much I love her, and I want her to come home. And she tells me that I've argued with her, and I've told her that she did the laundry wrong 4 times. And they tell me to get up and leave, that I'm causing a disturbance with my child. And I walk outside, and my whole family's all distraught. And, my 2 other kids, my Alexis and Wells, they're tore all to pieces. And my ex-husband gets in his car and drives off on his weekend. He leaves my children. And we drive back to Greenville. Now, granted, I'm supposed to get on an airplane the next day and go to Chicago. Or fly to Chicago and then fly to La Jolla. And I need this money. Like, I need it. I have to have the money. And so I'm tore all to pieces. I sign a medical power of attorney over to my husband currently, Brandon. And, you know, it was like, maybe she just needs a couple days. Like, everything's going to be good. Actually, let me step back. I had a couple days. And so we went back down the day before I ended up flying out. And we got 3 hours there. And we were going to come pick her up. They're like, you can come. She has oppositional defiant disorder. She's not suicidal. You need to come. You can come pick her up. So we get there. We get to Florence, 3 hours away, or we're an hour away from it. Get 3 hours from home. And they call and say, nope, she passed a note and said, if you come, she'll kill herself. And as a mom, you know, I'm looking at December 31st of 2018, and I'm looking at my daughter posting all these pictures of me and posting how much she loves me and how amazing of a mom that I am and how I've always been there for her. Like, nobody else was ever there for her like I was. And now I'm facing my child being in a mental institution. They're not letting me see her, and I can't even come get her, and I have full custody of her. So I'm having a meltdown. Like, I'm literally about to have a nervous breakdown. And the next day, my husband he's like, you have to go. And I knew I had to go because I had from flight to flight to flight, right? And we didn't have the extra money to pay to change all the flights, and I needed this job. So I get to the airport, having a meltdown, busting out crying the whole time. He loves me bye. And my flight gets canceled to Chicago for 2 days. Can't get to La Jolla. Zone United. Super funny. So I call my client. My client fires me. And because, you know, a couple other things have happened over the course of several months that, you know, I couldn't get there and with kids and all that stuff. So anyway, they fire me. But I still have to go. I knew, see, the only reason I put my business up for sale back in 2010 is that I was short $2,000 a month in cash flow, which I could have fired an employee and I could have fixed that problem. But the other thing is my ex-husband was super mad at me. And so he decided to come back at me and try to go after me for full custody of the kids. And the only thing he had on me is that I worked all the time. And so he said my mom took care of the kids. So I put the business up for sale because I was scared to death that I was going to lose my children. And so here's this battle. Now, at this point in time, what is that? 2019. So we're talking about 8.5, 9 years later. And I'm facing that maybe I shouldn't go, right? I shouldn't go to Vancouver and speak. I shouldn't go to Whistler and speak as a mom, right? As a mom, I should be here and wait on my daughter to come out of the mental institution and wait on her to get better so that I can be with her. That's what I'm supposed to do, right? As a mom, you would think that. But I knew in my brain, like, if I didn't go to that event, one, I would lose a speaking gig. And it wasn't just about one speaking gig. It was that I would lose clients because I promised I would be there and 100 people were supposed to be there. And then on top of that, I may not get asked to speak again. And I needed to show that I was an international speaker. So in my brain, like, I have to focus on my 5 other children, and Adrian's coming back. Like, there was never a doubt in my mind that Adrian wasn't going to get over this and she wasn't going to come back to me. Ever. Like, ever. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to this event. I sign over a medical power of attorney to my husband so he can go pick up Adrian when they let her loose. And then I was like, okay, if we do that, like, that's going to be great because it'll be like a week away from her. Everything's going to be fine. Like, it's going to be good. Get to Vancouver, I speak. Everything's great. The next day, I go back to the airport. I'm getting on the bus, give them my luggage to get on the bus to go to Whistler, which is like a 3.5 hour drive. And when I go to get on the bus, I get a phone call. And that phone call is from a guardian ad litem. And what she shared with me in a matter of about 5 minutes is that, yep, I know you've been her mom and you've taken care of her by yourself for the last 15.5 years. But I'm going to proceed to have your rights taken away. And there is an emergency hearing on Monday. This was, I think, on a Thursday. There's an emergency hearing on Monday, and I'm going to express to the judge that your rights need to be taken away. And I was distraught. Like, I didn't know what to do. I was in another country. I didn't have necessarily the money to fly back. Like, I probably had $1,500 in my name, and I'd already looked up. It was $1,100 just to get back, because I need to get back so quickly. And I thought to myself, I'm like, you know what? Like, there's no sense of me staying here. You know, my whole idea was I'm going to take this drive. I'm going to try to find an attorney that I can find in Horry County, because I live in Greenville. So that was a little bit hard for me. I didn't have people that I was connected to. And my ex-husband used to do this thing where he would go and do a consultation with all the good attorneys in town. And so I couldn't hire them. And because once you do a consultation with somebody, you can't hire them. So that was a major problem. So anyway, and on Fridays by 12 o'clock, in my town at least, where I'm from, attorneys take off. I don't know about your town. So I'm finding out about this at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's early in the morning here, or in Whistler, or Vancouver, but it's not in Horry County, South Carolina. So I try to get on the phone with attorneys. That doesn't go anywhere. Can't find anybody to defend me on a Monday without me being there. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just ride to Whistler. I'm gonna go to Whistler, right? I'm gonna leave this event, but I'm gonna go to Whistler. At least have a hotel room to stay at tonight. And I'm going to find a flight, and I'm gonna come back tomorrow. They'll bring me back, and then I'll be at least good and rested, and then I can come back, and I'll be there Monday for that hearing. And so I go and check in, which I'm about to do as soon as I get off this live. I go and check in, and then they connect me to somebody, because I'm clearly having a meltdown still. I'm crying profusely. And so a lady, her name is Gina. Hopefully she'll be here today. But she sits me down, and she talks to me, and she tells me the same thing. Her daughter did the same thing at 15. So, I'm okay. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just go to the event today, right? I'm going to go to the event. I think it was on a Saturday, and I'm going to get through all of this. I get to the event. Tony starts speaking. I don't even know what he was speaking about. He was talking about money, and I have a meltdown. But I'm like three tiers back, and he sees me, and he calls me up. And he then spends 3.5 hours on walking me through the process, that it was not me. This is not you. This is your daughter. This is her acting out. This is her wanting to do something different. This is her growing up. And he walks through the life cycle of your children, right? You've got infants, right? Which is, I have a toddler, she's not a toddler yet, but I've got an infant, right? And it talks about infants and the fact that they need their parents. And then when they get a little bit older, Amelia's getting a little older now, and she doesn't want to be held as much. She wants to learn how to crawl, or she's crawling, and she wants to learn how to walk, and then she'll learn how to talk, and then you get into the young adult, right? You got the teenage years, like Lily. Lily's a young adult. Like, she wants to do everything she can on her social media and hang out with her friends. Well, not social media, but her Nintendo Switch, and then you've got the adult, which is our kids now, right? I mean, I've got 5 adults who, all of my kids. I've got 5 adult kids. So just started walking through the life cycle and where she was at, and one of the things he was like, what did they diagnose her with? And I was like, ODD. And he's like, what is that? And I was like, oppositional defiant disorder. And he's like, excuse my French, but I'll tell you exactly what he said. He's like, what the fuck is that? Like, she's a rebellious teenager. Is that what you mean? And everybody in the room laughed. And then when he got finished walking me through and helping me understand and process, like, I felt like I'd spent 10 years. That was like 10 years of coaching and consulting and counseling, right? All in the matter of 3.5 hours. And when he got finished with that, he made me stand right back up and tell him what money was and what money was not, subconsciously. And that's what I'm trying to get. It's the point I'm trying to get to today. I needed to tell you that story because I need you to understand sometimes things look really hard, and sometimes you've got some decisions that you got to make, and then when you make the right decision, things just shift. So I stand up, I'm strapped, right? We're paying this mold attorney. We're, trying to grow the business. We're trying to do all these things. And, we're paying all this money to Tony, be the platinum partner. And so, he has me stand up and I talk about money. And for those, you guys, like, and I'll ask you this, subconsciously, what do you think money is? Like, post that. What do you think money is? Like, money is what? And don't even think about it. But money was, to me, money was time. Like, I would say money is time, money is freedom, money is things, right? Money is a tool, money is a game. Like, to me now it's a game. But I would say what money was. And then he's like, okay, say money is not. Now, and when you say, I don't know, he's like, but if you did know, what would you say? Because subconsciously, in your brain, you're like, money does not grow on trees. Money is not easy to come by. Money is not time, because I have to spend all my time in order to make money, and then I have to pay bills that I don't want to pay. So, what is money to you? What is money not to you? And so, when he got finished with that exercise, he showed me, he said, what you think money is and what you think money is not, are the same thing, which is a problem. You can make money, but you will give it away. You will lose it. You will waste it, because in your brain, it's not good to have money. Because see, for me, money was always painful because I was always just paying my bills. I always just had enough, right? So money was not fun. It was a necessary evil for me that I had to go and work my little butt off to make money to come back and pay my bills and to pay attorneys. Which I've spent, I can't even imagine where I'd be at today had I not had attorney's fees, fighting in custody battles and lawsuits and, bankruptcy and all the things, right? So he goes through that exercise, and honestly haven't even thought about that exercise until today. And I was sharing it with somebody this morning because I told him that I would talk to him this morning because I needed a little bit more time. And I knew I'd be up early here because I'm exercising every day, and I'm getting up super early, and I'm writing in my journal every single day. But Tony went through that 7 years ago for me. And it's been 7 years without my daughter. See, I thought she'd turn around. Let me just share this. So that day I stayed at the event. That day I also made the decision that it was best for her. She needed to see the other side. She needed to see the difference. Granted, do I know if that was the right decision? I know now that it was the right decision for our family, our whole family. Like, I had to let her go. One of my favorite quotes in my whole life is something I said in every pageant that I was ever in, which I never won, by the way. I don't know why. No, I'm just kidding. But every pageant I was ever in, I would always say, if you love something, set it free. If it comes back to you, it is yours. If it doesn't, it never was. And so I set her free that day, but it set me free. Honestly, it was like, it was so freeing to just let her go do what she thought she needed to do. Now, granted, do I think her life would have been easier, better with us? 100%. But some people learn by going through really hard things. And so some people learn by watching other people go through really hard things. And she was one of those that had to go through the really hard things. So hopefully she's learning, and hopefully she's growing up. I don't know. She's 22 now. She doesn't speak to me. She doesn't speak to our family. She doesn't speak to our kids. Her siblings. She doesn't speak to her dad, which ironic. She stopped speaking to him today. She graduated from college. But he didn't have Tony Robbins, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I feel bad for him on that. Like, I had Tony Robbins the minute this happened. I had Tony Robbins, and honestly, I went through my platinum year literally trying to figure out how to fix her. But what it did is it fixed me. It helped me get through the process. It helped me understand it all. And although I didn't fix her, I was able to go through a whole bunch more things that I never thought possible. So I decided I made that decision that day. I actually went skiing that day. I learned how to ski for the first time, which I don't ski anymore because I had a major skiing accident back in December 31st, 2020. Hit my head, had a really bad concussion, caused some mental issues that I'm, healed from, now. But thankfully I don't have to deal with that now. But definitely scared. I'm never going skiing again. Let's just put it that way. These people up here on the mountain that I'm watching ski down the mountain, they can have it. I'm just going to hang out here and do some more lives. But I made the commitment that I wasn't going to fight it. And my ex-husband, when I got home, I thought, hey, I got a phone call on that Monday saying that I'd lost custody. I'd lost visitation. I didn't have any phone access. I had nothing because I didn't have an attorney there fighting for me. And then I was distraught again, and I was like, I made the biggest mistake. But then I kept going through, and everything got better. So when I got home, I'm like, this is going to be fine. I'm going to call Jason. He's going to let me talk to Adrian. Everything's going to be good. I'm going to come see her. My ex-husband tells me that not only if I show up, he's going to call the police, but he doesn't let me speak to her for 4 months. Then I finally have to hire an attorney so that I can get access back to my child. I do that, and, wasn't a great attorney because obviously I didn't have a lot of money. I was young, stupid, and made some really dumb mistakes. And unfortunately, I ended up settling out of mediation. I was supposed to have some visitation. That didn't go well. When I had the visitation, I decided to stop. Just stop. I can't do this anymore. I had to stay on my path because what was most important is to provide for my family that did want to be a part of my life, to provide for my clients and help them, and also to provide for my staff, right? Because the people who cared about me and wanted to be in my life, I needed to allow them. And maybe some of you need that hope, right? My family didn't want to be a part of my life. Now some of that's coming back around. Thankful for it, somewhat. But it was hard. It was hard. It was really hard. I'm not saying that the path I've been on, I remember, there was days that I just lost it. I cried and I cried and I cried. And by April 15th of that year, I actually almost missed Alexis's prom that year and was in the hospital with bleeding. I had 6 bleeding ulcers. I almost bled out. Because I was so stressed and because I wanted my family back. I just wanted my family back, right? And we've tried throughout the years, and I just had to finally make a decision last year to tell her the hard truth, and haven't spoken to her since October of 2025. And thankfully, the Father gave me another little girl. I found out 2 weeks later I was 5 months pregnant, and she has just been the greatest blessing. Our family has gotten closer because of it. And we've gotten closer because of Adrian. And maybe one day she'll come back. And maybe she's listening to me. I love her. I want a relationship with her. But she has to be ready. So, I say all that to say this. Where we are today, 7 years ago, I never thought humanly possible. I didn't have the money to invest back then. I also didn't have the emotional intelligence back then. To invest. I was scared to death to put money into anything. And this past year, I joined a mastermind group. I decided to go and hang around people that were at a higher level than me, and I started investing. And those investments have actually generated, or will generate this year, half of what I'm currently making with OTB Tax. Now, my business, and I will just share this with you, I was making $350,000 by the end of 2018. The next year we did $850,000. The next year we did $2.6 million. The next year we did $3.2 million. The next year we actually went the next year the next year we did 3.4. The next year, because I wasn't running the company, we went down to 3.2. The next year we went down to 2.9. I wasn't running the company again. I took back over the company and became the CEO again and ran the company. And the next year we did 3.7 million. And I had one of the scariest mental issues in my life at the end of 2023. And I was scared to death that would hurt our business, but our business grew massively. We decreased payroll by 300 grand. We increased 800 grand. Okay. You can run those numbers. But this past year, I started investing because I was like, there has to be something better. I cannot keep working like this, right? I cannot keep working this hard. And there's got to be people smarter than me that I can invest in, and I can start making some passive income. And with all the work that we put in, granted, I'm investing in 1 year and making half of what I'm making at OTB Tax, what I bring home. And that would not be possible had I not had that conversation. That money is and money is not conversation. So I started learning how to keep my money. And I started learning how to enjoy keeping my money because I was giving back, right? So Manual Relief became one of the biggest things. It wasn't that I wanted to become a millionaire. I didn't want $1 million business. I didn't want to make $1 million, actually. I wanted to end and eradicate childhood malnutrition. And the only way to do that was to make more money, so I give more to Manual Relief, and then that created the ability for me to help more people and free up more money, and then it made me more money, and it created an addiction. So I'm focused this year on replacing myself completely in OTB Tax so that I can focus on higher level things. I can focus on speaking, right? I can focus on helping people at a higher level and strategy. I can help them build a legacy, right? Asset protection, the financial, like all of these things. So we created Tax Rebels last year, a new company. We created, that's our education platform. We created OTB Wealth, which is our higher level advisory service. Just out of necessity, that people need help. Like, people need to know these things. You need to know that you should not accept 10% from Pure Financial Advisor a year. You should be making 40, 50% off your money every single year. I do. I didn't know that existed. You're taught that it's super risky to do these things, to make all this money. No, it's risky because your financial advisor takes your money. He gets a fee, then above him gets a fee, 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 and by the time 10,000 people up, you get 5 to 10% of your money, and you're supposed to think it's okay. The average retirement fund makes 4.1% a year over the last 20 years. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, and we're taught to put money into pre-tax retirement. If you pay taxes on it today, which is the seed, instead of the harvest, which is later, you would pay far less in taxes, and I'll explain it to you. If I take $100,000 over the course of 20 years, and I invest that, if I put it into pre-tax retirement, I got to pay ordinary income taxes on it. But if you just put it in the market, guess what? You'd have long-term capital gains. So instead of paying ordinary income taxes at 24%, you'd pay 15%. It's the biggest scam on the face of the planet. Now, I'm for Roths. I'm for solos, like a solo 401k. You can max out, put in $70,000 a year into a solo 401k, backdoor that into a Roth, sock it into a hedge fund, and make 48% a year off of it. I've learned all these things. I've put myself in the right rooms not because to make money, to create legacy. See, I don't want my children. I didn't sign up for this to work my little butt off and build a business that I could then give to my children and they could work their butts off for the rest of their life. I signed up to do this one time. That's one of the things I love. I want to do something one time, and I want to make money off of it. Like, I was never good about planting flowers because you got to replant them every single year. My grandma loves flowers. More power to her. She loves her yard. I only want to do something one time. So I sacrificed the time, effort, and energy that it took to build this business so that my children, when they have children, they can still work for us, but they can spend more time with their kids. I will work harder at that point in time. This season of my life, I am spending time with my daughter, Amelia, because I can, right? And yes, I am here for 8 days away from her to never have to leave her again. And some of you are like, oh, I can't miss that ball game. I can't miss that school function. I can't do it. Like, I'll do it later. But I did it now. And a lot of people said, Courtney, all you're focused on is money. I think if you really know me, totally different. Like, money's not a driving force for me. When I set up my Roth last year, I set up all my children's Roths. When I bought my life insurance policy, I bought all my children's life insurance policies. I am building a legacy for them. Now, do I give them a lot of money right now? No, but they own 26% of my company. They'll own 50% by the time, probably in the next 5 years, if they put forth the effort. I want them to put forth the effort for the next 5 to 10 years, not the next 30. So if working my butt off or being gone for 8 days this week from my little Amelia makes it so that she saves 20 years of her life, that she can go out and work hard for 10 years, that's worth it for me. And I realize the more and more and more events that I go to, there's so many smarter people than me. There's people making a whole lot more money than me. There's people making a whole lot more money than me that has a whole lot more than I do, that are not even anywhere near as smart as I am. And you may say it's not all about money. Try to pay your bills with hope, love, and affection and appreciation. Money will buy you happiness because money will buy you your time back. And now that I've learned how not only to allow people that I pay well and systems to make me money, and now my money is making me money, I actually can have my time back, which is my freedom, which allows me to do all the things that I want to do with my family. 7 years ago, I didn't even see the life that I have now. But it just gets better from there. Like this year, we mapped out with our kids 2 weeks ago while the snow was coming and we were stuck in the house. We're going to Alaska this year for a week. We're going to Hawaii for 10 days. We're going on the Ritz-Carlton yacht for a week. And we're going to Amelia Island, which is my favorite place. And by the end of the year, I will own a condo in Amelia Island. And we will have, or at least be in the process of building our mountain house. Because I'm thinking bigger, right? The wealthy make money, active income as hard and fast as they can, and they don't spend it on stupid things like buying a new car or, doing, and I'm not saying coaching programs are good, so I'm not knocking that, but they're not wasting it on things. I'm all about putting money into yourself first, and then using that in order to make more money. And then you create active income. That active income then goes into passive investments that are also tax deductible, so you're not paying taxes. And then from there, that passive income is what you use to live your life off of. And I'll be able to do that this year for the first time ever, right? So, it's just crazy. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at these mountains. I'll share it with you. I'll show you. This is what I've been looking at the whole entire time that I've been talking with you guys. It's so beautiful here. Obviously, I miss my family, but sometimes you got to spend a couple days without them, build your business, come up with your game plan and your vision, because I see things at a higher level than most people. I work at a higher level than most people. I don't expect people to be at my level. I don't expect people to have the commitment that I do. But in order for me to get my children, my family on board, right, I have to go do and show them. They get to see the reality, right? I know me and my husband, when I told him I signed up to be a platinum partner, like he was so upset. Not because he didn't want me to do it, but he was so upset. He's like, you're going to be gone all this time and nobody else is working and we've got all these kids and I've got to stay here and take care of them. And we don't have the money, Courtney. So, and I remember every single time it got tough, he's like, do you want me to go get a job? No, that defeats the purpose. I need you to be with the kids. I don't want anybody else raising our children. So, I mean, I hope I got through on some things. I wanted to share this. I wanted to get this out. One of these days I'll finish writing that book called The Birth and Rise of a Tax Rebel, I think is what we're calling it. But to share my story on the crazy things that's happened. Guys, I look at the path that the Father has put me on. And it just every step of the way, like when I couldn't see it, when I couldn't understand why in the world why are you doing this to me, Father? He was protecting me every step of the way. He was providing for me every step of the way. And the sheer abundance that you can have when you start listening to him and you start focusing on what he has in store for you, which is so much greater than what you could ever even possibly imagine, things just shift. And I guess I'm going to go check in now. I'm super excited about what I'm going to learn this week. I'm excited about being in the room with Tony. I haven't been in a room with him in 6 years, and got kind of upset with him about the COVID stuff back 6 years ago. And I was like, I'm never going to a Tony Robbins event, and here I am again. It's life changing, right? And so hopefully this helped you. Hopefully this helped you understand. Things can shift so drastically. You just got to put forth the effort and the energy. And I'm going to save this, Melanie. But I hope you guys have a great day. I'm gonna go have some fun, meet some more people, and build some relationships, and grow our business some more, and learn some more, and figure out where we need to put our money this year, per the billionaires, because that's what this event is all about, is what the billionaires are saying to do with your money, which is the exact opposite of what they're saying to you in the real world. What they're actually doing with their money is completely different. So hope you guys have a great day. Talk to you soon.